A disallowed goal costing Manchester United, 2 major decisions at Bournemouth and penalty confusion at Man City. We cover it all on episode 2 of The Whistleblower with ex-Premier League referee and SunSport columnist Mark Halsey. Mark is not scared of upsetting supporters, players, referees or the PGMOL. He just says it how it is, and that's exactly what fans have been crying out for. Mark, we'll start with the Garnacho goal at Brighton, which caused a lot of confusion for fans on social media. How are you, and was it the correct decision?
Yeah, good morning, Tom. Yeah, listen, of course it is. The Garnacho's shot is heading in towards the goal, and it's just touched by a colleague. And unfortunately, that's the law. Listen, people may think it's not correct, but as law goes for law 11 offside, that was the correct decision. Had he not touched it, the goal would have been given. So it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, opening up a little bit of a can of worms here, but do you think that kind of law, perhaps could be one of those where referees take into account sort of a common sense approach, or is that too much of an issue going forward? Is it better to have it sort of black and white?
Yeah. Listen, those sort of instances are for the IFAB to look at, and they have to then decide in those situations would a goal be given. Unfortunately, the officials, as the law stands at present, they have to give that as offside and unfortunately disallow a goal. But yes, I think you're right. When you see an instant like that where the ball's going to go into the back of the net and it just clips his colleague accidentally, perhaps that's something that the IFAB could look at when they meet in March.
Yeah, and it's the kind of incident that I haven't seen it happen probably in 20 or 30 years, so it's not like it's something that's going to come up every week. So maybe one for them to look at. Quickly moving on then, as that was pretty a clear-cut decision. 2 major decisions down at Bournemouth. The first one was Joelinton clotheslining the Bournemouth goalkeeper Neto, only getting a yellow card. What did you make of that decision?
Yeah, I think Newcastle got lucky this week, didn't they? I thought they were extremely unlucky with Fabian Schär's sending off for violent conduct last week, and I understood that they appealed and failed with their appeal, which I thought I thought they had a good chance of winning, because Fabian Schär, violent conduct, you have to look at the force involved, and if the force is negligible, then it's not violent conduct. So last week, for me, that wasn't an act of violent conduct because the force was negligible. Yesterday, I think he was very, very fortunate. Newcastle have got away with one there. But what I can't understand is why VAR's not got involved there. Because for me, that's an obvious area. Because you could class that as serious foul play, endangering the player's safety with excessive force and brutality, because it was around the neck, or you could deem it as violent conduct. So I thought he was very, very lucky. And I was surprised that VAR Tim Robinson didn't afford David Coote another look. But having said that, I'm surprised David Coote didn't recognise that as either of those offences.
Yes, I was about to say, David Coote obviously sees it and gives a yellow card, but by the letter of the law, why is he only giving a yellow rather than a red if he's seen it?
Obviously, they've deemed that as reckless and not serious foul play or violent conduct, so that's why they issued the yellow. I was surprised that VAR didn't recommend a review. I think had he was afforded another look, I think that a red card would have been shown, and I don't think anybody would have had any complaints had he been sent off for that incident.
Yeah, and then another major decision by that same refereeing crew down at Bournemouth, where there was a late goal disallowed for handball. Obviously cost Bournemouth the win, allowed Newcastle to get a point on the board. For me, looked like he hit him on the shoulder. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, listen, I totally agree with you, Tom. When you look at the incident in real time, you can't see it. It looks like a good header. When you see the replay, when I saw the first replay, I didn't change my mind. I thought it was a good goal. I thought it came off the top of his shoulder. Obviously, we can, we know that that part of the top of your arm, shoulder, is not handball. So I was surprised that Tim Robinson got involved, because again, it's a subjective call, isn't it? So I was very, very surprised that Tim Robinson got involved and disallowed a goal. And then we get the. I mean, he's put David Coote in jail really. I think had he not got involved, the goal was given. Nobody would have said anything. No one would have complained. But what I just looking at the statement from the PGMOL and the Matchday Centre saying it was a factual handball. I'm sorry, I'm not having that. It was not a factual handball. Okay, yes, you could argue it's subjective, but it's not a handball. It's just not a handball.
Yeah, I mean, even the kind of rate they slowed it down to only showed it was sort of that area at most, which, as you say, that area above is not handball. So yeah, very a bad weekend for those two down at Bournemouth. We'll move on to Manchester City, where, I mean, there was two penalty incidents, one given and one not given. The first one was Man City getting a penalty. Savinio judged to have been fouled by Leif Davis. Sam Allison was the ref and Nick Green had the VAR. Did you think that was a penalty?
Yeah, well, when I was watching it, I mean, I watched the game live, and when I was watching it in real time, I thought that Davis just caught the City forward, and I thought it was a penalty straight away, because you always look at the when a defender is making a challenge, you look at the direction of the ball, and the direction of the ball just did not change. And so when I saw that, I just said penalty straight away. So I think that on that with that incident, I think David Coote was correct to get involved and recommend a review to Sam Allison, because I thought that was a clear and obvious error. But having said that, I thought Sam perhaps should have picked that up in real time. Yeah,
and the same two players involved at the other end, Leif Davis being, in my opinion, fouled by Savinio, but after a VAR check, they didn't see it that way. What did you make of that?
Well, there we go again. We're back to the inconsistency of VAR, and Howard Webb coming out saying we're having less involvement with VAR. Well, we've got two incidents that are exactly the same, where VAR David Coote gets involved in one incident and he doesn't get involved in the other. Now, you either get involved in both or you don't get involved in either of them. And for me, I think that VAR David Coote should have recommended a review again to Sam Allison to have a look at that challenge. And as I say, had he been afforded another review, I think we'd have seen a penalty given to Ipswich, and rightly so.
But why do you think he didn't review it? I mean, to me, there was kind of clearly contact. Did he think that?
Well, I mean, obviously they're going by how Howard Webb has come out and said that they want less interference on decisions, on subjective decisions. Well, you could argue that both are subjective, weren't they? If they're going to come in for one and not the other. So I think obviously there's still clearly a lot more work for Howard Webb to do with these officials and getting the consistency that everybody wants to see with VAR. And the proof was in the pudding at the Etihad on Saturday that we're far from being consistent with our decision making regarding clear and obvious and subjective.
Yeah, and we'll move on to a game yesterday, which was at the time pretty finely balanced. Liverpool were leading Brentford 1-0 when Jota and Nathan Collins had a bit of a coming together. A free kick was given, but no card and no VAR review. Lots of people saying that was a deliberate elbow, including on the sort of post-match afterwards. How did you see that one?
Yeah, listen, I think it's difficult as a referee when players are challenging like that, going up with their arms, because you need your arms to come up and get that leverage. So, listen, it's one of those that is subjective, whether it's an act of violent conduct or it's reckless use of the arm. So, and that's what VAR looked at that and decided it was a reckless use of the arm. So obviously we know that VAR cannot get involved in yellow card offences, where a reckless use of the arm is a yellow card offence, is a cautionable offence. So I'm quite happy with that. I thought that was had he been shown a yellow card, I don't think anybody could have any complaints. I didn't think it was an act of violent conduct.
Yeah.
Normally you see when that elbow goes up, someone clinches their fist and they throw that elbow back into their face or their body. So listen, I think he was lucky to escape without a yellow card for a reckless challenge or reckless use of the arms.
Yeah. And final decision of a packed weekend. Woutface had a goal given after VAR intervention, with Jamie Vardy standing in an offside position, perhaps interfering with the goalkeeper, perhaps not. It's always a complicated one, this one, but what did you think about it?
Yeah, listen, I mean, let's praise Darren Bond. Obviously, in those situations, what the referee has to consider, did Jamie Vardy impact or interfere with the goalkeeper, with Leno, the goalkeeper, thus impacting on him being able to make a save, or was Jamie Vardy, in his line of vision? And I think VAR was right. It's a subjective call on that. Listen, we know offside is factual, but on those sort of situations, it's subjective. So I thought in that situation, I thought VAR was correct to afford Darren Bond another view of that. And Darren's gone over, he's looked at it, and obviously he's decided that Vardy's not interfering with Leno. And I thought it was a good decision, and well done, Darren Bond, for giving the goal.
Do you think that Vardy, obviously, he sort of initiates contact with Leno when the corner comes in, and then sort of moves out of the way a little bit? I know you can't be offside from a corner, obviously, but do you not think that sort of, if you take the decision a little bit longer, does that not count as interference?
Well, no, not really, because obviously the corner comes in, you cannot be offside from a corner,
Yeah.
and Jamie Vardy's entitled to stand wherever he wants to stand. If he wants to stand right on top of the goalkeeper, he can. But when that ball comes over, he then moves away.
Yeah.
And we can clearly see that it didn't impact on Leno to make a save, because he can clearly see the ball. From behind the goal, you can clearly see he's got a clear line of vision at the ball, and he even attempts to make a save. So, listen, well done, Darren. I think that for me, that's a perfectly good goal.
Brilliant. All right, thanks very much, Mark. That was episode 2 of The Whistleblower with ex-referee and SunSport columnist Mark Halsey, who will join us after every Premier League game week of the season. The Whistleblower will be back on Monday, September the 2nd, so make sure you subscribe to SunSport on YouTube and you follow Sun Football on socials so you never miss a show.